Exclusively on Secular Media Network, this is the Gaytheist Manifesto.
Hello and welcome to the Gaytheist Manifesto, your source for news, commentary, discussion, and debate at the intersection of the atheist movement and the LGBT rights movement. I am your host, Callie Wright, joined by my co-host, Ari Coleman.
Callie, I just have one quick question for you.
Oh, God. What?
Shoma Booba Bow?
I hate you so much right now. Oh, God. I'm going to have to take screenshots of that and send it and like put it in the show notes or something.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's basically the worst thing ever. So for context, this creeper dude added me on Facebook and I had like 5 or 10 mutual friends with the guy. So I figured like, yeah, he's probably a safe ad. So I add him, and then a little bit later on, I notice like this dude is like video calling me on Facebook Messenger like 6 times in a row. And then
that's always a good sign.
Oh yeah, it's great. And then he sends me one of these like heart stickers and says, "I like you."
Ooh.
And then he says, "You good fuck." And then he calls again, and then he says hi, and then he sends a thumbs up, and then he says, "Call you." And then he calls again, and I said, "Wow, you're an effing creep." And his response was, "Show my booba bow."
Which is my favorite sentence that has ever been uttered.
And I still have no idea what the hell he means by "show my booba bow," but it's... Yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna have to post screen caps of that for people to see because it's ridiculous. Moving on to the show, this week we are doing our 4th in an occasional series we call the Good News Edition. So as anyone who listens to the show probably knows, there are lots and lots of really horrible, depressing stories going around about LGBT related things. The horrible law passing in North Carolina, all kinds of hate going around, and it gets really draining. It's really tough to listen to. So we like to do an episode occasionally where we just kind of forget that stuff is happening, and we just share good news related to the topic that we cover. So surrounding atheist topics, LGBT topics. So we usually do these in 3 segments. R and I will spend a couple of minutes talking about good news from our lives, and then we'll go over some news stories from around the web about some cool stuff going on, and then we'll hear from you. We posted something on Facebook asking for people to share what's good in their lives, and they did respond. So let's start out. Ari, do you have anything good going on in life?
Yeah, I have lots of good things going on. I guess one of the main things would be that later this month is my name change, my legal name change.
Yes.
Hopefully it gets approved, but my hearing is set for April 25th, so hopefully I will be Ari Stillman, actually. I'm changing my last name to my partner's last name.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so if you are listening after April 25th and you look for Ari Coleman on Facebook and you don't find me, it's probably Ari Stillman now.
That's going to screw up all of your really cool outros from the past couple episodes. What are you thinking?
I just had to mess up my whole life.
Yeah, it's all ruined now. Mm-hmm. All of it, every single bit of it.
Yeah.
So how does that process work? And
it depends on what state you're living in, but in Illinois, you have to basically fill out a form saying that you want to petition the government for a name change and tell them, what name you want to have, and then pay a court fee, set up a court date for hearing, and then in between that time, you have to publish a notice in the newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, with the first publication being at least 6 weeks before your hearing, saying that my current legal name is this and I am changing it to whatever your legal name is going to be, and then you just send proof of that to the judge and then go to your hearing. And as long as you are not running from any debt or any legal problems, they're pretty much going to say, yes, you can change your name.
Yeah, that sounds pretty similar to Ohio.
Yeah.
So that's cool. What else you got?
Actually, well, this is a topic that we're going to be covering more next week.
Evil laugh, evil grin.
I actually have a new relationship budding at the moment with someone that our listeners mostly know about.
Let's keep it secret until the next show because I want there to be suspense.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Because
if you've been paying any attention on social media, you probably already know. But
right. And this, it's a person who, in all seriousness, we joke around a lot, is a really, really good person, and I'm really excited about this. I'm very happy for them both.
Yes.
So, anything else cool to report?
We had Trans Day of Visibility last week. That was pretty awesome. My local trans group did some awesome things. They put on a talk at Illinois State University about trans issues and answered questions. And they flew the trans flag at Illinois State University and handed out pronoun buttons and flyers. And there were some bathrooms that were made all gender bathrooms for the day. And we're working on getting that, all gender bathrooms in more buildings permanently now. So lots of really cool things happening with that.
That's awesome. And for reference, the Trans Day of Visibility is kind of the response to the Trans Day of Remembrance, because there were some folks who thought it was a bit problematic that the only day that we had in the year where we thought about trans stuff was where we thought about, the people who had lost their lives for being trans. So they created the Trans Day of Visibility for, as a day for trans folks to celebrate our visibility in our communities. And we'll what we're doing in Cincinnati for the Day of Visibility is something that I'm going to talk about a little later, because it's something that a Facebook person, a friend of mine, commented about. That's pretty cool. And also, this is awesome. If you didn't know, Wells Fargo, the huge bank, actually lit up their building with trans flag colors for the Day of Visibility. That's pretty amazing. Which is like, holy crap! Like, that's huge. Like, that's really, really huge.
Wells Fargo thinks we exist?
Right. And is important enough for them to have their entire building our colors for the day.
Yeah, it's like when the White House was all rainbowed up for marriage equality. That was amazing.
Yeah, oh God, that day.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Right. It's America, fuck yeah, America.
Oh, that's great.
But we're going to change the American flag to the rainbow flag when the gays take over.
Yeah, that's absolutely going to happen.
And we have the hostile gay takeover.
Right. Oh, anything else to report? Anything else cool going on?
I've got a lot of guest appearances coming up on podcasts. We're recording this on a Sunday on the 3rd, and later this evening I'm going to be on No Religion Required talking about the science of gender and sexuality. And then I'm also going to be recording with Trav for By Any Means later this week, which is awesome because I feel like I'm a real activist, because the last person that Trav talked to was David frickin' Silverman. So I'm as important as David Silverman.
I mean, that's perfectly sound logic in my mind.
Yeah, if you're on the same show as someone, you are just as good as them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, before you were a co-host, I had Matt Dillahunty, Seth Andrews, and Aaron Ra on the show. So
there you go.
Yeah, so we're super important. And that's awesome. In all seriousness, both super, super good friends. Trav does a lot of really good stuff with By Any Means, talking about, bisexuality and, being genderqueer. And I really, really like Trav's perspective on social justice. They do a blog now on Free Thought Blogs, which is really cool. I'll try to remember to throw a link in the show notes. And then, obviously, I feel like anyone who listens to this show probably at least knows that No Religion Required exists, but I just literally cannot say enough about how much I love those folks. And
some of the best people in the whole world.
Like, for real. They give the best hugs, and they have the biggest hearts. Well, I mean,
second best
aside from me. I mean, I
Yeah.
think when we're talking about who's good at hugging, I think it's always just assumed that I'm the best.
Yeah,
So
I think that's
we're
fair.
always speaking in those terms, so.
Right.
But yeah, so definitely check those out, especially, I've been on both shows a while ago, and now Aria is going to be on, so definitely check both of those out. It's good stuff.
Following in the footsteps of my big sister Callie.
Oh, you call me your big sister. That's so sweet. I love that.
Oh.
Yeah, this show's
freaking
just going to be a
precious.
giant cheesy love fest.
It sounds kind of gross.
I mean, to you
Cheesy
maybe.
love fest? Like, I don't know, are we pouring queso on each other or something?
Yeah, so the show about fetishes is later.
Okay. We'll save it for then.
Right. Anything else cool to talk about?
Nothing else is cool. Everything else is terrible.
Well, I've got a couple of cool things going on. I just did a sleep study just actually Friday night, and I looked like I was assimilated by the Borg, which was pretty horrifying. But
Tape all over her face and wires coming out everywhere.
yeah, it was bad. Like, I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my god, this is like, I'm ready to start sprouting cybernetic implants.
Which would be awesome.
Right, like, I don't know that I would necessarily have a problem with that. But in all seriousness, like, sleep is something that I've kind of struggled with for a while. Like, I snore really bad, and I stop breathing and all that kinds of, like, really
You
scary
just
stuff.
dive
So
for like 5 seconds at a time.
exactly, yeah. Like, and actually, like, while we're being cheesy, like, big shout out to Celeste, my girlfriend, because she's the one who kind of gently prodded me into doing this whole thing to take care of my sleep, because not just because she sleeps next to me and is driven absolutely crazy by my snoring, but
Which is probably a big motivator.
well, right. I'm sure that's in there somewhere, but also, and that was kind of like one of the, while we're being cheesy, it was like, one of the first times that I realized, like, wow, this girl really, really cares about me. And, I woke up one day and her head was laying on my chest and she was crying because she was, like, really just so freaked out by the fact that I, like, stopped breathing, and she didn't want to wake me up because she knew I was, like, really tired and needed rest because I'd been working a whole bunch, and it was just like, it was a big wake up call. I was like, this is something that I probably need to take care of. So, and that's going to help with losing weight. Like, sleep apnea is a big thing for being overweight. So, like, it's going to help with that. And then, speaking of that, I had a consult the other day for weight loss surgery because I think that's a thing I'm going to end up doing. Because I need to lose like 200 pounds before I can have SRS, and I just don't, the further and further along I get, the more convinced I am that I don't think I'm going to be able to do that completely on my own. So I have a consult for that. I'm kind of, working that process. And what was really cool was I posted something in a local trans group here, asking if anyone knew anything about the psychologist that my insurance company had referred me to, because you have to do a psych eval before they'll approve you. And someone from my local trans community here reached out and said, hey, like, have you picked a surgeon yet? Like, I really, like, I want to give you somebody that I highly, highly recommend. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, who, because, obviously, in the trans community, we talk amongst ourselves about who's, friendly and accepting and, culturally competent and that kind of stuff. And he gave me the name, and it was the name of the surgeon I literally just gotten off the phone with. So it was like, sweet.
Yay.
Because there's only like 3 in the Cincinnati area that my insurance company covers. And it just happened to be the first one that I called. And he was saying, like, he had, worked with them, and they were, like, really good about pronouns and names and that kind of stuff. So that's really exciting. So that's something cool that's happening in my life. I'm trying to think of other stuff. 'Cause I've spent so much time on that. I'm up for a promotion at work, which could be kind of a cool thing and kind of a not cool thing, because I just rearranged my entire schedule because I got a new schedule at work, and if I get this position, I'll probably have to rearrange it again. And it might impair my ability to do all of the activism stuff that I want to do this summer, because I'll end up having to take more vacation days and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
It'll also mean lots and lots more monies, and hopefully a quicker road to surgeries and that kind of stuff. So. And then really the only other thing is today, like as we're recording this, it's Sunday, April 3rd. And 2 days ago, April 1st, on April Fool's Day, which is hilarious, is my 2-year anniversary on HRT, which is pretty awesome. And
those are fireworks.
Okay, good. I was curious. That's good. I like fireworks.
Yeah.
So I made a video for my 1-year anniversary. I'll try and remember to throw a link in the show notes for that too, because it's a pretty big thing. Like I have boobs now, and like that's pretty awesome. And and
you can show your booba bow.
Oh God, I'm never going to stop ever going to live this down.
It's not your fault though.
Oh, son of a bitch. All right.
The perils of being a woman on the internet.
That's what it is. Like, that's seriously what it is. God. And I guess the other good news would be, because I don't have any traveling to do this month, not for the show anyway. So I'm actually in 2 weeks going to Oklahoma to be in a friend's wedding, which I'm really, really excited about. But because I don't have any podcast or activist relating traveling to do, this month, that's not, covered by the folks that I'm speaking to, I actually was able to take some Patreon money and buy some equipment for the podcast. So if you notice that my voice sounds way sexier than normal,
oh yeah,
it's because I got a new mic. So thanks very, very much to the patrons for that, because I hate the way my voice sounds, and I hate it just a little bit less now that I have a nice microphone instead of the crappy one that I was using before. So thank you all for that. So we are going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we are going to go around the web and find out some cool stuff that's going on in the LGBT and atheist communities. More Gaytheist Manifesto coming up.
I've struggled with confidence throughout my life, and I've struggled with shame and internalized transphobia and internalized racism and internalized classism. And so I have all that stuff, but there was something in me believed I had something special. Telling the truth to myself about myself is awesome, because it's just a relief, because I don't have to try to be something I'm not. I can just be. Who you are authentically is all right. The shame is what kills you. Believing that you are unworthy of love and belonging, that who you are authentically is a sin or is wrong, is deadly. Who you are is beautiful and amazing. It's important, with all of the messages that might tell you otherwise, that you have that in yourself to say that I am beautiful, I'm smart, and I'm amazing.
Hey friends, I wanted to let you know about something cool that listeners of the show may be interested in. A good friend of mine is doing a fundraiser for an organization called the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network seeks to advance the principles of the disability rights movement with regard to autism. ASAN believes the goal of autism advocacy should be a world in which autistic people enjoy the same access, rights, and opportunities as all other citizens. They work to empower autistic people across the world to take control of their own lives and the future of their common community, and seek to organize the autistic community to ensure their voices are heard in the national conversation about them. Their motto is "Nothing about us without us," which is something I can totally sympathize with, given the lack of trans representation in so much that affects our community. To learn more about the fundraiser and to contribute, jump on Facebook and search for a group called Autism Acceptance Month Fundraiser. It's an awesome cause, and I hope you'll check it out and contribute if you're able. Thanks! Before we jump back into the show, it's time to thank our patrons. Thank you so much for contributing to the show financially and for being a part of this movement. Becoming a patron of the show will get you access to episodes of the show before anyone else, a big shout out on the show, access to an audio journal I've decided to keep detailing the more personal stuff I don't go into on the show, and an exclusive once-a-month patrons-only hangout. To learn more and to become a patron of the show, head over to patreon.com/thegaytheist manifesto. Thank you. And welcome back to this show. This segment, we're going to be talking about some stuff that we found around the web, good news concerning atheism and non-belief and the LGBT community. So, Ari, won't you start us off there?
So this first story is from NPR. It is titled, Judge Strikes Down Last Same-Sex Adoption Ban in the U.S.
I think we need some more fireworks for that, right?
Yes. So Mississippi was the last state in the country which did not allow same-sex couples to adopt children. And let's see, it was U.S. District Court Judge Daniel P. Jordan III, very fancy.
Thanks, Dan.
Said that the ban violated the U.S. Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. So it is struck down, and now couples in Mississippi and throughout the United States cannot be barred from adopting children just based on their sexual orientation or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're shitty people, then yeah.
Well, right, that's fair. Like, because we know there are some members of our community who are shitty people. So
yeah.
But in all seriousness, I mean, this is huge, right? Because there's so many kids who are waiting to be adopted, and tons of gay couples, I'm sure, who would love to adopt, who haven't been able to because of bigotry, and I think this is amazing. You know, there have been so many studies done about kids of gay parents, and it's pretty definitive that literally the only thing that kids of gay parents suffer is because of like discrimination, because they have gay parents. Like, yep. There's nothing else in their development or their outcome that is in any way negative, aside from the fact that kids torment them for having gay parents, which, well, that's the social commentary there kind of speaks for itself, I guess. So hooray, Judge Dan. Thanks for going with the obvious answer there, which I feel like is so much progress is all like the obvious answer. Like, oh my gosh, like you can trust gay people with kids. Like, what? Like, well, we've known that forever. So thanks for coming along and just affirming the obvious for us. I appreciate that.
Yes.
So, next up, the GLAAD Awards happened. When did it happen? The story doesn't say exactly when it happened.
It happened before.
Yeah, it happened before. It happened before now. And what was cool was there was actually a lot of trans representation at the GLAAD Awards, which I think is awesome, because there definitely is a problem a lot of times, even within the broader LGBT community, with trans inclusion. And I Am Kate and I Am Jazz were both honored. Let's see, they tied, actually. I Am Kate and I Am Jazz tied for Best Outstanding Reality Program. And Jazz Jennings apparently gave a really great speech. There's not video of it because it actually hasn't aired yet. But Jazz apparently gave a really great speech. She said, and this is, it's so obvious, but she said, all people deserve to have a family like my family, which, that's awesome. And I Am Kate, obviously we've talked at length about Caitlyn Jenner and how disappointed we are in her as a human being. You know what? Like, all the best to you in your personal life, but you are not helping in the broader sense. And apparently somebody in the crowd actually yelled the word charlatan at her before leaving, which,
that's an interesting word choice.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I could think of a lot of other a lot of other words that I might use. Like, let's look up the definition of charlatan: a person falsely claiming to have a special knowledge or skill, a fraud. Now, this, like many other things, kind of puts me in the odd position of defending a person that I'm not super fond of, because this seems to suggest that she might be faking being trans for the attention. And
I can't even believe how many times I've heard that.
And the thing is, like, I would need to have some pretty serious evidence of that before I was willing to call that on someone. Just because, I mean, we face so much doubt and all that kind of stuff from the outside anyways. Like, I think you cause more harm by being skeptical than you do just like, well, I'm going to take you at your word. And then, you know, if something comes along later and demonstrates that maybe you weren't being sincere, then, you know, we can talk about that.
Yeah, where's the evidence, people? You're claiming that she's faking, so where's your evidence for your claim?
Right, exactly. Now, maybe fraud in other ways, you know, maybe, you know, I see, and again, I'm not even sure that would be the right word then, you know, because, you know, it might be that, you know, I mean, she's like trans and genuinely trans, but also knowing on the other side that, like, well, I'm also not going to be against, you know, playing this to my advantage with a reality show and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I think she's sincere, though. I don't think she's telling lies about her beliefs or anything that she stands for. I think she's sincere about it. She's just misguided.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't know. It would be really hard, I think, to make up some of the stuff that she has said and done. I think, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so either way, I mean, you know, hooray for trans visibility at the very least, to keep the conversation going, even if the, one of the people who is part of that visibility is someone we may not be, so fond of. So, you know.
Jazz is awesome. I love her.
Yes, Jazz is awesome. I would love to give her a hug one day and just talk to her. That's like big goal for the show, to get Jazz Jennings on the show. That would be amazing. Even though I don't know, like, she may be an evangelical Christian. I don't know. But
I don't know
it
either.
Would be awesome. It would be awesome to have her on the show. So, Ari, what do you got next?
Ooh, some very, very fun news
I love this so much.
atheist side of things. So this story is on the coloradoan.com. It is called Satanic Book and Bible Sex Tracts Provided in Colorado Schools.
And you heard that 100% correctly.
This is from our good friends, the FFRF, the Freedom of Religion Foundation. So they started a... did they start it or no? They worked with the Western Colorado Atheists and Freethinkers group, and they got a bunch of literature to distribute at the local public schools, because if, you know, one religion is allowed to distribute literature, then all religions need to be allowed to distribute literature. So they handed out to the school children, I think it was the Satanist coloring book, and books about, pamphlets on topics like sex in the Bible, problems with the Ten Commandments, and a satanic activity book to middle and high school students in rural Colorado.
I love this so much. And the best part is this stuff started being available on April 1st.
Yes. And they're like, it's not an April Fool's joke. It's real.
Oh God. Yeah. This is so great, because it's a perfect illustration of how, so many people religious freedom means freedom from my religion, but no one else's. I think one of my favorite stories about that whole thing was this guy was, like, campaigning so hard for vouchers for private schools, right? And the problem with vouchers for private schools is that a lot of times that would mean government funding for private education and private religious education, right? And
those schools don't have to follow the same rules about discrimination and disability access and that kind of thing that public schools have to. So they would basically get paid to be able to discriminate.
Exactly. So what another person on this, it was a city council or a state legislature, I forget which, stood up and said, you know what, fantastic idea, because there are a lot of Muslim parents who would love to send their kids to private Muslim schools. So this is great. Let's do these vouchers. And the guy removed his support for the bill immediately. Which
I didn't think of that.
Right.
Not if the damn Muslims want it.
Right, exactly. So yeah, this is great stuff. And there's the satanic coloring book thing. I'm gonna try and pull up pictures of it here.
It's pretty amazing.
Like, yeah, hang on. Okay, religious literature for schools, the Satanic Temple. So, so there's a connect the dots with a bunch of school kids and a goat's head up top, and the connect the dots ends up being a pentagram. And the caption is, Damien is showing his class the way to make an inverted pentagram. Connect the dots to make one yourself.
Yay. This from the school was that they did not want to risk a costly lawsuit, but they also decided that the students would not be hurt by the giveaway and might also learn about different views on religion. I'm sure that was it, and not just that they were going to sue your ass if you didn't do it.
Exactly. And there's a decode the message. Annabelle sent Damien a note in class, but it's a secret. Help Damien break the secret code to find out what Annabelle wants to say to him. And I'm not going to sit here and try to break the code, but I'm sure it's something hilarious. And there's
Jesus is a lie.
Yeah, there's a satanic word search, which is adorable. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Waiting for the picture to load.
This was the same booklet that they handed out in Florida last year, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like a nationwide campaign to get the Satanist agenda into our public schools.
Which I am, I'm 100% for this. But yeah, I'll try and I've made a lot of promises about links that are going in the show notes, so I hope I don't let anyone down. So I'll try and find a link to some more screenshots from this, because it is absolutely hilarious, and it's actually pretty adorable. Like, the illustrations are really good and cartoonish and like really cute. So next up, this is from people.com. Apparently, Sarah Palin is developing her own Judge Judy style reality show. Now, you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with the Gaytheist Manifesto's topic? And
because it's hilarious.
Well, right. One, because it's hilarious, but also because and the reason that this is considered good news, because obviously another reality show is not necessarily good news. The reason why this is good news is because it means that Sarah Palin's not going to be making any decisions as an elected official again anytime soon.
And she's not a lawyer or a judge, so nothing that she does on the show has any effect on anyone whatsoever. So,
well, it will, because what happens in these shows is actually legally it's defined as arbitration.
Oh.
So, most of those shows, they're not actual judges, and they're legally binding because both parties have agreed to arbitration. But usually what happens is each party gets paid a certain amount of money, and when you win, your opponent's winnings come out of what you get paid. So both sides usually win in that whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Right, yeah, it's pretty great. So, yeah, I want to watch this show at least once, just because, like, for the same reason that you want to watch a train wreck.
Yes.
But so far it's just a production deal. They haven't actually signed a deal with TV network or anything like that. So they're just, they're developing a pilot, and
I just want to know whose idea this was. Where did you come up with this?
Apparently the producer who is doing it is the same producer who found Judge Judy and Judge Joe Brown.
Yeah, but those people are like, I don't know, they're not Sarah Palin.
Well, right, and apparently those folks actually do have some kind of like law degree, like law background, even if they're not necessarily like licensed as judges or lawyers. They do have a law background.
Right.
So what they say is, Palin's telegenic personality, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess telegenic means that it's suited for television? I don't know.
I guess that's true.
Palin's telegenic personality, wide appeal, and common sense wisdom. Wow, that's a stretch. Make her a natural for this kind of format. And she was Warm Springs, which is the production company, top pick for this project.
Wow.
So look out for that one. Look out for that one in the fall of 2017, apparently.
No, it's too far away.
I don't think it could ever be far enough away. So Ari, what do you got next?
Atheists outnumber theists in Norway. So they've been, as they do in countries, taking polls to track the religious leanings of the population. And let's see here. This study is conducted every year in Norway, and they had 4,000 participants. 39% said they do not believe in God. 37% said they do, and 23% said undecided.
Google.com and immigration to Norway.
Well, it's only 2%, so it's not like a huge deal. But it says 2 years ago, the number of believers and non-believers was equal. So it's definitely an upward trend for the non-believers.
Well, see, and here's the interesting thing. If you look towards the end of the article, the thing that I think is almost more interesting, even though it's related, is that so there's a study called the World Happiness Index, and it actually measures the happiness of countries. And Norway was apparently one of the happiest countries. Mm-hmm. And in general, the World Happiness Index has found that the least religious countries are also, generally speaking, the happiest, which I think is really, really interesting. A couple of things.
That's because they're a bunch of godless commies who have free healthcare.
Right, who wants that? That sounds terrible.
Not me. I want freedom.
Yeah, no, the study doesn't necessarily define God. So it says, it could be the Christian God, an independent God, or one from other faiths. But apparently the question has been asked the same way for the last 30 years. So it's at least an accurate representation of, if you ask me if I believe in God this year versus next year, it at least means the same thing to me. So I think it's probably still a pretty accurate sampling of, what people's actually beliefs are.
It was 4,000 people, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't think there are that many people in Norway anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's 4,500 people in Norway total. So I think that's a pretty good representative sample.
OMG.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so bottom line, Norway is good without God.
Doop-a-doo.
Doop-a-doo.
Yep.
So the next one here is kind of an interesting one, and this one has spawned some discussion and a pretty scathing Facebook post from me, to say the least. The reason.
Are you saying that you're the scathing atheist?
No, but I mean, I guess
you wish you were the scathing atheist.
I mean, I can be sometimes. But so basically, Tribeca Film Festival. If people aren't aware, it's a really big film festival that happens every year, and Andrew Wakefield has made a movie. Okay, and for those who aren't familiar, Andrew Wakefield is the guy who was the lead author on the original study that supposedly linked vaccines with autism, and that study has since been thoroughly debunked many times over, retracted by the Lancet. And apparently his medical license was even revoked over his failure to disclose financial conflicts of interest and ethics violations. So So this film was originally part of Tribeca, and there was a lot of, outcry over this. And Robert De Niro is one of the founders of the festival, and so there was a lot of, conversation going around. And eventually, Tribeca decided to pull the film from the festival. And of course, just like when people are deplatformed for saying silly or controversial things, this, has prompted a lot of discussion surrounding freedom of speech and, whether or not we give voice to the opinions of the people that people who have opinions that we disagree with. And the thing that really bothered me is I actually saw some pretty noted skeptics who are the first ones to come to the defense of people when they're deplatformed from a convention or a college. People who just absolutely cried foul and were screaming up and down when Richard Dawkins was disinvited from Nexus, who were saying that this was a good thing. And to me, that's a completely hypocritical stance to take, because if you think everyone's opinion deserves a fair hearing simply because they have it for the sake of discussion, then this should be no different.
I would think that their argument would be that with Richard Dawkins, he just sent like some anti-feminist tweet, whereas with this situation, this is something that could actually, affect children's health and the health of the population at large. But I mean, they're both damaging. For sure.
Well, right, and that's my thing, because if you look at people who were defending what was her name? The anti-trans feminist. I can't remember. Why can't I remember her name off the top of my head?
Germaine Greer?
Germaine Greer, yeah.
Yeah.
People were defending her and even saying, like, yes, I find her views abhorrent, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that she should have the right to say them, which is all fine. Like, I agree that in a legal sense, people should have the right to voice those views and say whatever they want, but they don't have the right to a platform. Like, no one owes you a platform for your views simply because you have them. And if somebody...
Only if you're a cishet, white, straight guy.
Right, exactly. And if somebody decides that they don't like what you have to say and decides to not give you a platform or to remove their platform from you once they find out more about you, I don't really have a problem with people doing that, because I'm a freedom of speech absolutist when it comes to the legal side of things. If people started to get thrown in jail for saying anti-trans or anti-gay things, or for speaking out in favor of religion, like I would be on their side in that argument. But when it comes to being disinvited from a college or disinvited from a convention, whatever, as a person who has somewhat of a platform with this podcast, I'm not going to invite someone on my podcast to debate my humanity with, because I don't see that view as morally equivalent to its opposite. So that's just not something I'm
Callie,
gonna...
you have to let every random Joe Schmo on your show, or else you're against the Constitution.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I just saw kind of a lot of hypocrisy in this, like a lot of people who were totally behind this decision, but will cry. And the reason that this kind of sticks out to me and kind of stings like hell to me is because what it says to me is that people are fine with pulling Andrew Wakefield's film from this film festival because the vaccine question is settled, right? The other side has no evidence in support of their arguments, right? Right. The autism vaccine link has been debunked as thoroughly as basically anything has ever been debunked in history, right? There is no substance to the argument whatsoever, right? And so what this says to me is that when someone gets deplatformed for having anti-trans views and someone is saying like, well, you shouldn't shut the conversation down, what that says to me in my mind is that person doesn't seem to think that question is settled. So It's not okay to debate whether or not vaccines cause autism because the question has been settled. But it is okay to debate the humanity and the validity of trans people because I'm not so sure about all of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't even know that that's a conscious thing, right? Like, I don't think that that's someone actually being consciously bigoted and being against trans people. But in my mind, I think that's kind of the message that kind of thing sends. I don't know. Do you agree, or do you think I'm being ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that they would just think like, well, it's just somebody's opinion, and we shouldn't be, shutting down people's opinions because we disagree. We're always taught in school that everyone has a right to their opinion. So I don't know. Maybe they just think that it's okay if you have an opinion that trans people are terrible. I'm not sure.
Well, like I said, in a legal sense, I think it's okay for people to have that opinion. I just don't think that anyone should feel obligated to give them a platform for it.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think this is good news. I think, Andrew Wakefield has the right to say whatever he wants and make whatever movies he wants or whatever. But I think this movie being taken out of the festival, I think, acknowledges that we don't think that this is a legitimate point of view, because it's simply not a legitimate point of view.
Yeah, and if he has the free speech to put his opinion about vaccines out, then the festival has the free speech to say we don't want to have this opinion in our festival.
Exactly. It does, in fact, work both ways.
It works both ways.
So, Ari, you're gonna close this segment out with this isn't even necessarily good news, as in like this is a thing that just happened, cute. But it is funny and cute, and freaking science knows we need some of that. So so yeah, go ahead and introduce this one.
So this is just a little article of screenshots that's on Pink News. 20 hilarious times when coming out didn't go as planned, and it's just screenshots of posts on Tumblr and text messages of people who came out to their families or friends and had some funny things happen. So I'm just going to read some of my favorites here. You can go and find the article if you want to see more. This is a text conversation, and this is in all caps with no punctuation. I may have just accidentally came out to my entire family in the worst way possible. My grandma was saying how gays are going to hell and I didn't want to deal with it, so I started to leave. My cousin asked where I was going. Hell, apparently. What have I done?
I like this one. This one is the first one. It's just titled My Coming Out Story. It says, Mom, I have something to tell you. It's pretty serious. You may want to sit down. Mom says, okay. The person says, this isn't easy for me to tell you, and I've been meaning to tell you for a little while now. And Mom starts crying. The person says, why are you crying? You don't even know what I'm going to say. And Mom says, because I'm too young to be a grandma. And the person says, what? And Mom says, you're going to tell me you knocked up some chickie babe, and I'm not ready to be a grandma. How could you be so stupid? And the person says, Mom, I didn't get a girl pregnant. I'm trying to tell you that I'm gay. And Mom says, what? Well, oh, thank God, and gives him a hug. And she was so relieved that she wasn't going to be a young grandma that she didn't even care that I was gay.
Oh,
fantastic.
Yes. This one is probably my favorite. It's on Tumblr. Somebody asked, what's your coming out story? And the person replied, I told my mom, and she cried, and then told my dad, and then she cried for the rest of the night. And then in the middle of the night, I heard my dad yell, God damn it, Lori, who cares if he likes it up the ass? Which is perfect.
I enjoy this one too. This is somebody posted on Facebook. The post was, first one to comment is gay, and then the person comments underneath, hello friends, I have something to tell you. And then they screenshot it and put it on Tumblr and said, so I came out on Facebook today.
Let me get to the next page. So much editing. Ugh.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say the next one because this is so damn funny. I want to read it. So this is a text message conversation between someone and their dad, and the first text is meeple and then mupple. I have no idea what that means.
Meeple.
Yeah, and then the text says, "Dad, I'm gay," and then Dad says, "I had sex with your mom," and then the person says, "Huh?" And then Dad goes, sorry, I thought we had switched to saying things that were stupidly obvious.
This is another one that's awesome. Story time. When I was 16, my mom and I were watching Ellen, and my mom says, "Oh, look, my favorite lesbian." And I said, "I thought I was your favorite lesbian." And she just stared at me for a moment and said, "Oh, okay." And we just continued watching. And that's how I came out to my mother.
This is a good one. Dad says, "I like cranberry sauce." And the girl says, "I like vagina." Stepmom's mother says, "Oh my God." And Dad says, "Damn it, Courtney, all I wanted was cranberry sauce." Stepmom's mother, "Oh my God, you are so repulsive." Dad says, "Oh my God, who cares if she likes vagina? If I don't get my cranberry sauce, somebody's going to get hurt." And stepmom's mother says, "But she," and then Dad interrupts, "Can it, Grandma, and pass the sauce." And that's my coming out story.
Yep. I love it when people come out and it's just like so totally not a big deal.
Right.
I think that's how it should be. Like, oh, okay, you're attracted to whoever. Great, that's awesome. Let's continue eating dinner.
Right, yeah, like, good deal. Now go clean your room.
Yeah, you're still the same freaking person.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and there's more. There are 20 of these on the site, so I would, and obviously all of these stories are going to be linked in the show notes, so I would definitely encourage folks to go check those out, because some of these are pretty hilarious, and an example of the kind of thing that should happen when you come out, and people just saying like, "Oh, okay, cool, like, what do you want for dinner?" and that kind of thing. So that's awesome. So
can I have a cookie?
Right. So we're going to take another quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to hear about your good news. Some folks who have responded to our posts on Facebook letting us know the good stuff going on in their lives. More Gaytheist Manifesto after this.
The Brainstorm Podcast presents the Shift to Reason, Saskatchewan's first secular conference. It's happening on April 30th, 2016, and features some great speakers that include Seth Andrews, Nate Phelps, and Levada Leaning, along with others. This one-day event in Regina includes lunch and a VIP after-party with the speakers. Tickets are available at shifttoreason.eventbrite.ca and start at $95 for early bird tickets, with student pricing and limited VIP tickets. Keep up to date with the conference on our Facebook page, facebook.com/shifttoreason.
What's something I could do with a very sexy lady friend of mine that people would find provocative, interesting, and entertaining enough to tune in week after week? Oh, I know! A podcast! If you'd like to hear me and Kate be provocative and thought-provoking week after week, join us on the Unbuckling the Bible Belt podcast. We'd love for you to be part of our audiological three-way.
Repent, America! Repent! America, repent of your rebellion against God. America, repent of stumbling little ones. America, repent of Harry Potter. America, repent of How to Train Your Dragon. America, repent that Dumbledore emerged as a homosexual mentor for Harry Potter. That Hiccup's mentor in How to Train Your Dragon emerged as a homosexual himself, in order that history might repeat itself one more time, in order that little 6 and 7, 8-year-olds might stumble.
Welcome back to the Gaytheist Manifesto. In this segment, we are going to hear about your good news. Ari and I posted on both our personal pages and on the show Facebook to ask about some good stuff that folks have had going on in their lives, and we've got some cool responses. So I will just start off. So Melina says 11 day on Spiro, which for those who don't know, Spiro is short for spironolactone, which is a testosterone blocker that trans women take for HRT. So 11 days on Spiro, awesome, yay hormones. And is also averaging 97 in her computer programming classes. So good stuff there.
Yay for education.
Education.
Yes. Amy said Animaniacs is on Netflix. Question mark?
Right, and the question mark seems to imply that she's not 100% sure if that's good news worth sharing, and I just want to say definitively that is good news worth sharing because Animaniacs is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And Dan says, it's spring. Flowers are blooming. Got my refund. Whoop, whoop. Hooray,
man,
money.
I'm so looking forward for that.
Yeah, the refund, not flowers or spring, right?
Yeah, no. I only like darkness and pain. So I'm going to use the money to buy more darkness and pain.
Right, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
some more time with the new boy, right?
Exactly.
Oh, inside jokes are great. It'll make sense next week.
Da-ba-dum-bum. Kayla said, I'm going to read books in the park with my boyfriend. Yesterday, my anxious dog let loose and chased a stick into the river. I was very proud.
Oh,
that's sweet.
That is
I'm
sweet.
proud of your doggy, too.
I am, too. And Kayla is one of my best friends, and her dog, Charlie, is adorable and is pretty anxious. So, like, I'm super proud of Charlie.
I really relate to this dog.
And Dan, same Dan from before, adds, on another note that I think will eventually lead to good news, people all over this nation are becoming more aware of trans folks. This is causing some, including politicians, to say dumb shit and pass dumb laws. Now, I'm a cis white guy, so this is easy for me to say, but I'm optimistic long-term for LGBTQ folks. Conversation leads to knowledge, leads to better treatment of trans folks. I still believe that the best is yet to come, and Dan, I 100% agree. I am also optimistic long term. I just wish that it didn't take so damn long. But I'm right there with you.
Oh, show. Colette said, baseball season starts today. Well, officially doesn't start until tomorrow, but there are a few games being played today. There are a few things I like more than the start of baseball season.
Yes, and that's because Colette, like I do, lives in Cincinnati, and we kind of have the pleasure of doing opening day every year with the Reds, which is, I mean, like, that means more to some people in Cincinnati than Christmas does. It's a huge freaking deal. There are parades and just all kinds of craziness going on downtown that I want to be nowhere near. You know, if baseball is your thing and you're excited, trust me, I am happy for you. But it's not really for me. So baseball season, yay for folks into baseball. I'm 100%. I'm happy for you that it's a cool thing. So mentioned earlier when we were talking about Trans Day of Visibility. So there is an organization in Cincinnati called Heartland Trans Wellness. You've heard me talk about it on the show before. We did a quick interview with the director, Jonah Yokoyama, who is an amazing human being. We are actually opening a wellness center next Saturday, which is basically, we're kind of doing a delayed Trans Day of Visibility for that. Basically, we're opening, so we're going to provide drop-in space, education, events, workshops, all that kind of stuff for folks in the trans community, and also not just for trans people, although trans people are at the center. So it's going to be a really, really cool thing. We're going to do speeches, and we're going to have food, and we're going to have a city councilman there speaking, and it's going to be really cool. There's been lots of love poured into this whole thing and lots of work from the folks at Heartland, so I'm really, really excited to be a part of that. So that is like super, super good news. If I know there are some listeners in the Cincinnati area, definitely come check it out. The information's on Facebook. Just search for Heartland Wellness Center opening. So that's going to be Saturday at noon. Anybody's in the Cincinnati area, please come hang out. I'm going to be giving a short speech because that's what I do. And yeah, it's going to be a good time.
That's your MO, giving short speeches. Rachel said, I just had a wonderful massage, the first in 4 years. A good lunch, and about to meet a great friend. Happy day for me.
Oh my God, massages are
awesome.
Amazing.
Self-care is very important.
100%. There was, when I was in a band and we were playing shows out of town, we played a festival once where we were actually an official festival artist, and we had like a festival liaison and everything, and like she took us back to the catering and was like, yeah, like here's the catering tent, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, and we're like, holy crap, like I'm eating better here than I do at home. And she walks away, and we're all just sitting around like, oh my God, this is so freaking cool. Like, we're at a festival and we're catering and we've got like these really cool laminate passes and like, how freaking cool are we? And then she comes back and goes, oh yeah, by the way, do you guys want massages? And we're
Yes.
like, what?
What do you think the answer is?
Yeah, and turns out there was an RV there that had some professional massage artists, and they were giving free quick massages to people who were playing at the festival. So it was like, you just write down your name and your cell phone number, and they'll either call you when it's your time, or you can hang out. And they just kept like pushing food at us, like best cheese ball I've ever had, and they had like salami roll-ups and all kinds of snack food. It was amazing. So yeah, hooray massages.
Yes.
And Seth says, I attended my first Leather Pride event, met a ton of amazing people, learned a ton about every sort of relationship under the sun, and more about myself, and I'm visiting my boyfriend. Yay for boyfriends, yay for leather, yay for learning about people, yay for everything.
Yay for yay.
Yay for yay.
Carrie said, my birth son has been visiting me for the last 5 days. We've had so much fun.
Hooray for family.
That's awesome.
Yes, that is seriously awesome. Anna says, I adulted long and hard and got a job, in all caps. And I'm about to get my first apartment and live all by myself, and it's scary as heck, but now no one will be shaming me for working in retail because I will be free from retail and working at a law firm with windows and a salary. Hooray windows, hooray salary, hooray for being free from retail. Although there's nothing to be ashamed of working in retail, I did find it to be a pretty soul-destroying profession. So congrats on your escape.
Yay. Engel said, I'm not dead. I'm happy about that.
Yes, I am very happy that you're not dead. I am glad that you're here.
Yes. That's good news for me.
Rachel says, I am currently sitting, and this is Rachel who got the massage for clarity's sake. I'm currently sitting at a place I used to be scared to go to for fear of running into people who used to have a lot of control in my life. Right now, I'm sitting with a water and a smile, almost hoping to see one of them so they can see me happy. I think that's a good thing, and the answer, Rachel, is yes. That is an extremely good thing. I have had a lot of similar situations where I've been really afraid, like, am I going to run into someone that I know or used to know, and am I going to have to answer really awkward questions? And I still actually deal with that to some extent, because, there was a really rich neighborhood that I used to work a lot in, and anytime I go to a restaurant or anything like that in that area, I know I'm going to run into somebody and they're going to recognize me, and it's obviously never happened. But it's something that I always worry about, and I'm not quite to the part of hoping to see one of them so they can, but obviously these are different circumstances. But either way, that's awesome. That's a really, really good thing, and I'm super happy for you.
Yes. I'm not sure how to pronounce this person's name. Do you
I'm going to go with Kaylee.
Kaylee or Callie or something, Kahle. Moved out of an abusive, phobic home where I was unemployed and forced into the closet, into a super accepting home where I can be out and proud, and I have a job and another 2 interviews lined up.
Yes.
That is I'm so happy for you.
Yes, that is seriously amazing. I made not a move that was exactly corollary to that, but I definitely not too long ago got out of a situation that wasn't ideal, into a situation where I now have a roommate who is trans and understands me and who is an awesome human being. So I can relate. So that's amazing. That's like seriously cool. I'm really, really happy for you. And Sarah says, I'm going back to school online to expand my horizons. That's awesome. Hooray for education.
I think this is it's not the last one. Never mind. Morgan from No Religion Required said, because of the awesomeness and charitable giving of the atheist community, I'll be able to get my plane tickets to Cambridge to study law over the summer.
Yes.
Yeah, she set up, at the insistence of the No Religion Required family, she set up a GoFundMe to be able to study abroad in England, and it was funded very quickly, so she is now able to go. So that is awesome.
Because this community is incredible, and that's what we do.
Yes.
There are a few people more deserving. Morgan is a giant sweetheart. Love her to death. And William, just got to meet William in the patron hangout yesterday. We had a lot of fun. Even though I was shy, I loved my first hangout, and I'm going to Miami in 3 days, just because I saved up money special just so I can eat and drink what I want the whole time. Yes. Hooray for vacations. Hooray for Miami. Hooray for the hangout. I had a lot of fun meeting with you, getting to know you, and freaking you out with talking about eating meat because he is a vegetarian. So apologize for that, but I love you to death, and it was a lot of fun hanging out. And and I guess that's it. So thanks everybody for sharing a bit of your lives and letting us celebrate with you, because obviously we know that a lot of times it's not the funnest thing in the world to be atheist, to be gay, to be trans, to be any combination of any of those things. A lot of times it makes stuff really hard. So thanks for letting us celebrate your successes and your happiness with you, and just know that, you know, if you're not experiencing happiness and good stuff, that you know, even though this is the good news episode and we're kind of forgetting about the bad things just for this episode, definitely don't want you to think that we've forgotten about you, and we love you a lot, and we're right there with you in the bad times as well. Well, that, my friends, is going to do it for this episode of the Gaytheist Manifesto on Secular Media Network. I want to say thank you to my co-host Ari.
Thank you, Callie.
And definitely thanks again to everyone who contributed to the episode. We love sharing happy things with our friends. You can find the show on Facebook at facebook.com/The Gaytheist Manifesto. You can email us at thegaytheistmanifesto@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at GaytheistCallie.
Billy Mays here for email. Do you like typing things on the computer but not in a place where anyone else can read them? Are you tired of seeing the pointless status updates, adorable cat pictures, and failed attempts at jokes at the Ari Coleman Facebook page? Are you a cishet guy with an opinion on gender pronouns that needs to be heard right now, damn it? Try the new Ari Stillman email address. Watch as it soaks up your ramblings with ease. Anti-feminist rant? Got it. Religious apologetics? No problem. Genuine comments, suggestions, or questions? Email has it covered. It's twice as absorbent as the old Ari Coleman Facebook page, and for a limited time, it's available at rock-bottom prices. A $90 value, yours for just the monthly price of a broadband internet connection and a small offering of sour candy. Just email restillman4@gmail.com and watch your problems magically disappear, like the attempts at secular arguments against marriage equality. That's ARISTILLMAN 4@gmail.com. Order now.
And you can find the show on Twitter at The Gaytheists. God, that's so good. I kind of
derail the whole outro.
It's so good, though. I love it so much.
I'm never going to stop it.
Please don't. Like, that seriously. I love that so much. If you want to support the work that we do, you can head to patreon.com/The Gaytheist Manifesto, make a per episode donation in the amount as little as $1 per episode to support the production of the show and the activism that we do. If that's not doable, you can still go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, and that helps us get heard by lots and lots more people. Before we go, I want you to know that if you're lost, you're hurting, you're scared, if you feel like no one cares and no one understands, you need to know there's a community out here that loves you, cares for you, knows that you're capable of amazing things, and that you are worthy of love. If you're struggling, please don't be afraid to reach out. Until next time, friends, this is the Gaytheist Manifesto.